I've got okay. I just had some very important thing to do. Okay.
No problem. Just wait a couple seconds and make sure people are starting to come in. Yeah, I think, yeah, we're live now. Definitely live. Okay. Fantastic. So let's get started. Let's get the party started. Hello, planet Earth. Welcome to Lilia's Weekly Wednesdays, and thank you for joining us again today. Who am I? I'm Lilia, as I said, and my pronouns are she and hers. I'm the creator of a 3,000 strong Facebook peer group for Facial Team, founded 8 years ago this spring, and have been dedicated to the trans community since 2008. So I've always felt like a patient advocate, and I am keenly aware that researching gender identity services nowadays is often overwhelming. So that's my usual spiel, right? And for this reason, and just like trans gurus who I have here today, I began these live stream videos as a way to communicate important information to you, our followers, and provide a beacon where your questions regarding gender identity, transition, etc., may be answered in a direct, transparent fashion. So as the host today, I've been authorized to interrupt, but I'll be checking for your comments down below. Please let us know if you have any questions. And also, I'd like to know where you're from. So let us know what part of the world you're coming from, because from what I hear from trans gurus, they have contacts from all over the world. And we'll address your questions today. I'm very honored to host two of the members of Trans Gurus, which is a multicultural trans-led talk show which speaks on the trans reality at every phase of life, and with the goal to educate, inform, and inspire. So thank you both for coming, Bonnie D and Ella Marquez.
Hi.
To those listening now, please tell us, as I said, in the comments below where you're from, what your questions are, so we can include them in the discussion. Today, we're going to talk about how great Trans Gurus is with two of the members. And we're going to talk about a little bit who they are and the other members as well, and their mission, their vision, and their values. So, Bonnie D, welcome. Yes. How's everything in Florida? Ella, is it hot there?
Hot. Oh my God, it's really hot around here these days. In every sense of the word, by the way.
Here too.
Bonnie, what you tell something about your Florida. We live just around the corner from each other.
Yeah, so. We live right around the corner. So, but anyway, yeah, Florida is warm, and the coronavirus is spreading, and I've been self-isolating for a while, and I went out a couple times with Ella. We went and saw live music, but at an outdoor restaurant. So we've been trying to be responsible. So life has been slowed to a snail's pace. I am retired, so I'm not out there working, thank God, and have to deal with a lot of this. But, you know, I'm thankful every morning that I'm alive, I'm here. I try to be happy. I try to focus on all the positivity things and put things in perspective, that there's positive in it. And you know, I gained some weight, but it's really good for wrinkles. It's all how you look at it. So, I mean, basically what I'm saying is it's all about seeing things positively and finding positive, even when it's a negative thing. And instead of, you learn from every experience and stay focused on that basic thing is where I think most of us come from, at least myself.
I agree with you. You have to see the glass is half full and not half empty, and that having that positive perspective, just it starts you off on the right foot, doesn't it?
Well, I heard one the other day that instead of glass half full and half empty, you just pour some scotch in it, mix with that ice, and you're good to go. Half empty or half full, either way.
Ice in there.
And I don't mean necessarily alcohol, because I'm not really a drinker anyway, but I'm just saying it's all about perspective. You know, we can sit here and debate half full, half empty, or we can just fill the glass up to the top and let it bubble over and make that choice.
Absolutely. I think that's very good advice, Bonnie. So Bonnie, could you tell us, the idea of Trans Guru started with you from what I hear. How did it come about? Can you tell us a little of the story?
Well, Christian, who is a very fine young trans man, wanted to do more. Now, I've done concerts for over 6 years, and I raised a lot of money for charity. And we used to bring a couple thousand people to the shows, and we put on some really nice concerts. And with just life and different things, that kind of fell by the wayside. And I enjoy giving. So, with Christian in mind, we started Trans Gurus, and we didn't foresee it as a group of a panel with 5 people. We saw it as maybe trying to set up where we could do trainings for people to educate them on transgender. We set it up as trying to do something that was going to be able to give positivity to the community. We started on a website, which we've never really finished. We've been more interested in the Facebook page and the YouTube, but eventually down the road, we are going to have the website, and hopefully we'll have some sponsors down the road, not for us to make money. None of this, you have to understand, first of all, with Trans Gurus, none of this is about us making money. If we can help the community and we can share, and with Trans Gurus, not to get too far, and going back what you said, there's parents that have trans kids that don't know, there's groups now, but employers, trans people that are just starting out, that like, how do I go about this? What do I do? People that are desperate, maybe even almost the point of suicide, can say, oh, we've all been there, we've done that, we get past it, now it's time to move into the next phase. But for people that have never really had any knowledge or experience or exposure to what we're trying to do, it's like out of their vision as to what there really is. And what we're just trying to do is educate, like I said, parents, employers, trans people, family members of trans people. We try to hit every area that we can, and it's not just 100% directed to a transgender person. It's reflected to everybody that's involved in that transgender person's life, from work to home life to relationships to even people when they're married and they go through the transition and their spouse, doesn't understand it. There's things that we try to deliver. And you got to remember, Trans Guru, there's 5 different people from different backgrounds that have been in different phases. Myself, I actually transitioned back in 1979, had my SRS surgery, not to date myself, but 1984. And I have transitioned, detransitioned, retransitioned. I mean, I have lived a very full life that I'm very thankful for, but I bring that to the table. And Raj, she's back in my day, and she had a whole different transition than me. Jimmy, Shannon, either one, I call her Shannon. She goes by Jimmy. But anyway, as her progression goes along, I'm sure it'll go to Shannon. But what I'm saying is she's a very successful business person and a bodybuilder. So I mean, what I'm trying to say is you've got somebody who's trans, she's got a body, to die for. And then, we have Ella, who's been in 68 different countries, speaks 7 different languages, is a world traveler that can bring a diversity to other parts of the world and the country and how they think. And don't forget, we have Nevaeh, which is Christian's girlfriend, and she's trans, beautiful, beautiful, young age. I mean, can't say enough about Nevada. Lauren, once again, young age, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. She's like our producer, and she brings a lot to the table. So everybody that's involved in Trans Gurus is trans, and we try to deliver a message that can be absorbed by the community as well as people outside the community.
Fantastic. It's amazing. When I was looking into all of the different members, I did a little, research, and I thought it was incredible, the different generations that you have represented in the group. And it's great that you have a trans man as well. Excuse me. So I agree with you that it's important for your group to have, a diverse perspective.
Well, when we do a subject, you might hear 5 totally different points of view on one subject, because we don't sit there and before meetings, well, we're going to talk about this and we get out there and we just ad lib it. You say what's on your mind, you say what's on your mind, and somebody might relate to Jimmy or Shannon or Ella or Raji or myself or all of us, or what I'm trying to say is,
Yes.
or just Christian for the trans guys, whatever. But bottom line is, we don't sit there and try to have the same point of view. We just tell the way we feel it, the way we see it, and where we're coming from. And I think that that's one of the success things about Trans Gurus, is you get 5 totally different. Sometimes we're all on the same page, don't misunderstand me. But sometimes, we're all over the place, and that's okay, because that's what we want to do. See, that's the uniqueness of Trans Gurus, is that we're not one person giving our ideas. We're 5 people giving our ideas, but our ideas can be from one end of the spectrum to the other, and we don't sit there and argue. But everybody's entitled to their point of view, and that's what makes Trans Gurus, because so many people might relate to 1 or 2 or 3 of us, or all of us. But what I'm trying to say is, we're not all trying to be scripted. We're more
I understand. Expressing what your own reality is, your own perspective, and for you, what being trans is, because it's a diverse thing. Everybody's experience is unique, really. And
But it's unique, but there is so many common factors. Throughout all these years that we've doing things, we all transgender people have got a very similar journey with all its differences. You see what I mean? But there is some very, very, very interesting things. It's very interesting because I just posted, when did you start transition? Or, when do you know that you actually were a transgender? And I said, I know it since the age of 5. And it's really quite incredible. We had about, over 50 different people responding about how early they started transition. They knew they were transgender. And of course, they had that transition much, much later. But you could see about 80% of the people, they were between the age of 3 and 10, something like that. This is something very interesting because it makes us as well very different from gay people as well. So it's, there is a very large differences there. So
absolutely, gender identity and sexual orientation are 2 completely.
It's not the same thing.
Ella, I wanted to ask you, because you have a very interesting background as well. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself? You have been with Trans Gurus from the beginning. So what do you bring to the table?
So, well, we are all different, as Bonnie made in a very, very good presentation. I am the international person. First of all, I've got 3 nationalities. So that makes me already quite internationally. I'm Portuguese, I am Swiss, and I am American. So I speak 7 languages, and I've been in, let's say, 1/3 of the countries of the world. So I am a pretty, international person. I've been a businesswoman for all my life. I've been an international businesswoman for all my life. I even went to international school. So most of my friends, they come from the planet Earth. Doesn't make any difference where they come from. So I've got people in Spain, I've got people in Switzerland, in all over the world. And this is actually quite interesting because Transgurus has become a very international place. We have people from New Zealand. Can you imagine in the evening? It's really incredible because I'm starting to dialogue with people from New Zealand because of the time difference. It's just worked out perfectly between Florida and New Zealand, 12 hours difference kind of thing, And, and it's really, I mean, it's become very, very international. I have been a transgender person. I know that I'm a woman since the age of 5. It took me a long time. I transitioned only at the age of 59. I've been over 5 years living as a woman, and I am a post-op transgender. I'm a writer. I wrote 3 books about transgender. One book is called "I Was Born a Boy from Venus." I don't know if you can see it very well. It is my autobiography. It is actually more about my life and my connection to this woman sense that followed me all my life. I always try to stop it. I didn't want to be a transgender. I wanted to be a normal cis person and everything. And it always came back because it's, it's not a choice. You're born this way, that's simple as that. And then my second book is called Coming Home to Venus. Coming Home to Venus. Coming Home to Venus is a book about my transition. So I go much more in detail. And if people want to find out more about what you have to do for transition, everything, it's very good for that. It goes from, discovering what is gender dysphoria, and it goes up until surgeries and, gender reassignment surgeries. I speak about all types of surgeries. I speak about papers, how to get papers, everything, to get your paper. My third book is completely radically different. It's called Ella's World. And Ella's World, it's a novel, it's a fiction about a transgender woman, which is pansexual. She's an international person like myself, of course. And and it's about love. It's about the relationship she had. She had relationship with men, with women, with transgender people. And finally, she found the love of her life. And my fourth book is coming up probably next year. I don't think it's coming up this year. I already wrote 2 books this year, so it's all right. It's going to be the continuation of Eva's world. And that means that Eva is going to become a mother. And guess what? Her kid is transgender. So it's all the thing about transgender kids, bringing transgender kids and stuff like that. So it's always related to the transgender theme. I am a proud transgender, it relates to that actually.
Great, that's fantastic, amazing, Ella. It's pumping out the books, and it's so important to have this positive literature out there. It's all part of the work that can be done to raise visibility of all the diversity of the community. So
yeah. And we all base ourselves on our experiences, and I think that is the wonderful thing about Transgurus, is that we've got, as Bonnie said, we've got different experiences, and we bring these experiences to the group. And Christian, the trans man, is very, very central because many groups don't have transgender men. The transgender trans man is still very much not so much visible yet. It's starting to have its very strong visibility, and it is a movement which is growing very, very, very fast. The other thing that we probably should mention more is, gender non-binary people, because actually in reality we are all non-binary. There's no such thing as a binary world. We should bring that more in the future. Probably we still have got some issues and going through that. I think, I just would like to tell you what our mission and our vision is of Transgurus, because I think this is something important for the people which are looking at, our mission.
But Ella, before you go into the mission and the vision, I wanted to comment that I liked what you said about your international quality, because in being from the planet Earth, no, and that's why I open my live streams. All of my live streams open with "Hello, planet Earth," and that's the message I want
Absolutely.
to transmit: is that we're all here on this planet together, and we all happen to be human beings, and that basic nature is what joins us together and makes our experience common. And to try and
Absolutely.
see more similarities between our experiences than differences.
Absolutely.
And so Ella, could you tell, or Bonnie, could you tell us, before Ella goes into the mission, the vision, and the values, where did the name Trans Gurus come from? I don't think you mentioned that before.
First of all, I just want to say I've been in America all my life, and Ella's seen more of America than me. Anyway, she gets around. And I don't mean
In a good way.
Trans Gurus was basically, we wanted trans in the name. And the reason for the gurus was, we're nothing that's, you know, some people say, oh, you're trying to be a guru, you're trying to be like, you're some kind of Maharishi or some kind of, no, we're just people that are positive, want to deliver a positive message, success in our life as far as accomplishments, and we're trying to deliver a message that comes across in a positive way. And there was no other way or word that we could come up with that would convey that message than gurus. So the trans is because we're trans, and the gurus was because we just wanted to give back and be positive and come from a positive place. And with that being said, there was no other word that we could think of that could convey that message. But I know we get flack here and there about gurus. Oh, you're some kind of spiritual leaders. We're not trying to be spiritual leaders. We're just trying to be people that deliver a message that's positive, that people can take, that isn't, we don't get involved in any politics. We don't get involved in it. It's only about everyday life. And the gurus, basically, it's about just, maybe we should have went with trans positive gurus or something. I don't know. But anyway, the gurus is all about delivering a positive message.
Absolutely. From what I gathered looking on your YouTube channel, in your Facebook page, and some information that's been published about your group, and in the small time that it's existed, actually, it's grown very rapidly, and how much support you are providing for the community all around the world, and the diverse representation of the trans community is excellent in all stages and walks of life. Sharing all of your individual journeys, your stories, your experiences, as you said before, both of you, from five different angles, shows a diversity in the viewpoints on being trans. That is so, that's what makes the community so unique and so special and so interesting and so important. It's not about being uniform, like you said. It's a conversation in a spontaneous manner, and it's quite entertaining.
We started out by doing a barbecue. We had 60 to 65 transgender people at our barbecue. To bring together that many trans people, I always thought that was like, you know, kind of, I don't know, maybe it's not a big deal in some areas or some places, but I thought it was pretty special that we were able to bring that many. And if it hadn't been for the corona, we would have definitely done another one. And this time we're going to do it much better. We had a live DJ, but we're definitely going to improve on the DJ. We had enough food to feed 200 people. But anyway, a lot of people, some people in our community, whatever, don't have a lot of money and this and that. But we made sure everybody ate like they were kings and queens. And we had everything from balloons, tables, chairs, music, on and on, desserts. And we did all that. We want to try to make that an annual thing every year. and improve on it to where people can do it. And we want to try to help programs where we can maybe help some people that, like if let's say you're in a rural community now and there's just no groups. Well, now with Zoom, you got to find a positive in everything. Corona-19 has opened a world now of Zoom and video meetings that somebody perhaps that's in an area that couldn't get to a meeting now can get to a meeting. Somebody who maybe is afraid to go out in public, but they can go on a meeting, be them or their authentic self. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, if you look at all these things, and we want to try to capitalize on all the things with, of course, I think from the barbecue, we can expand that into things that people can touch, not just over the air and the airwaves, and help people and do different types of things. And the next one that we have, we're going to have hairdressers, electrolysis people. We're going to have people that help people with clothes. We're going to have vendors all over the trans community. Somebody that maybe is like can come and meet people that can help them. We'll have some people there that are not psychiatrists, but workers that can help people get their WPATH letters, and people that can help. Yeah, the counselors and all those things. We want to try to put on a much bigger thing where people can actually travel. Like they have Southern Comfort, which is a great thing that, has really brought in doctors and educated and goes for 4 or 5 days. Well, we just want to do a simple one-day thing, but to where people could actually come and enjoy and learn and grow. And if we can help people learn and grow, well, then everything we've ever set out for in Trans Gurus is a success.
On that note, Bonnie, most organizations and associations, community groups don't have a whole lot of money, like you mentioned, and the members don't have a lot of money. So how is Trans Gurus getting its financial support for these kinds of events? Is it self-funded?
Yes, self-funded 100% from the people in Trans Gurus. We fit the bills, whatever they are. We're not asking anybody for money. We're not asking for anything. It's about giving. And somewheres down the road, as we start doing stuff, if some sponsors stepped in, we could do bigger events and do more things for people. But in the meantime, we're moving along. And yes, you believe it or not, there is a lot of expenses that go along with this.
I know.
We're not complaining about any of that financial burden right now. We're just thankful we're able to do it.
Let's put it this way. We've got a couple of gurus which are very, very nice people. Okay.
Thank you to those special people that are very generous in helping to make this happen. And I hope that this live stream helps get your message out so that you in the future are able to, reach more people and do great things. Sorry, Ella.
I have to say that, we have been very, very successful with Facebook, mostly in Facebook, YouTube a little bit less. But with Facebook, we just had a milestone yesterday. We had our 3,000th person, followers, and we've got over 2,700 likes, which for something which started 5 months ago, I think it's really quite big growth. And between yesterday and today, we got another 101. So right now, we've got exactly 3,100 and something, 70 or 60 something followers. So it is really growing very, 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 very fast. Obviously, all our international people, not only the people from Florida, will be very, very welcome in our open meetings. I just don't know how it is about traveling and so on, but I mean, probably we can organize something as well virtual, that they can be virtually present in those meetings in the future. As long as, the whole life goes more or less to normality. And here in South Florida, it's not the case at all, because we've just closed all the restaurants. We've got a massive amount of coronavirus people. So you have to be very, very, very careful.
Yeah, Florida is one of the highest in the nation.
Yeah, right now. Right now, it's the hot point. So in Miami, they most of the restaurants now are closed. In Broward as well. So in the south, it's pretty tough. So
Well, I sympathize with you because it wasn't that long ago that Spain was the epicenter of the world.
correct, yeah.
So, everybody's like Spain. But now, the curve is coming down and people
And
are
our curve is going up.
tourists coming back here, and we're happy to receive our first patients from abroad this month. So it's
Oh,
getting
great.
better. So I
That's
send
very
lots
good.
of encouragement for you, for the people in your group, and for all Floridians that it gets better.
Yeah, yeah. No, we really hope so. It's for us, the Americans, to go to Europe now. It's banned. We cannot go to Europe. As a Swiss person, actually, I received a letter from my embassy to tell that I could go to Switzerland because I'm Swiss, but I would have to stay at least 14 days in quarantine before I see anybody.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's a little bit complicated.
It is.
So
Right. So in the meantime, here we are on Zoom and other digital platforms. So Ella, will you tell us a little bit more about the mission, vision,
sure.
values that drive Transguru?
So our mission, Transguru's mission, is to spread the word in with our transgender brothers, sisters, non-conforming siblings, friends, and allies all over the world. So it's international, and it's really a community thing for transgender people. Transgender, and of course, our non-conforming siblings, because they are put today under the transgender umbrella. Transgender is a social group using social media such as YouTube and Facebook, and to connect international transgender community with the brothers and sisters, to give you experience and support. So what we want to tell the people is what we've gone through. How can how can we help other people? Not help financially or with counseling, but with our experiences. We do have a lot of people which write to us and say, "Can you counsel me?" And I said, "Sorry, you're not the experts. You have to go to your local group, but we can help you try to find something and try to connect." That's the idea. And our values, of course, is first of all is integrity. We have to be real and honest, not only to ourselves but to our groups. It's diversion inclusion. That means respect all people and bring them together for success. Passion and commitment. So we are committed to this. We want to do leadership and courage and being better for the future for us and for all other people. And of course, innovation. We want to develop new ideas. How can we transmit better ideas to our transgender community? How can we put them together better? So this is as well innovation. One thing is not written in our mission statement is that we are not a political organization. We accept any political organization. If you are from left, right, top, bottom, whatever it is, it's we are transgender people. We are non-political. So I think that is very important in these days, mainly in the United States, because there is kind of a very big diverse opinions of, and believe me, the transgender community has got both of them. So it's not related to one or the other. So we have to take that into consideration.
And the panel also is diversified on their opinion.
Absolutely, all over the place. So when we start discussing politics, it can get very explosive.
Better to keep that off of the agenda of topics, no?
Yeah, but unfortunately, let's put it this way, right now with all the issues, don't forget, here in the United States, we've not only gone through coronavirus, but we have many other things which have been happening in the last months, not to try to explain them in detail because everybody knows, which makes we have to be very careful what we write because it is either explosive either on one side or the other side. It's not that it is one or the other. It's not it is everybody, but one on the other side. And don't worry. The message, mainly since the pandemic started, is a positive message. We are in a very difficult situation worldwide where people have lost their jobs. People have sometimes have been don't have any kind of communication with other people. Many people are very lonely and they actually need some positive thinking because it's a way. There's a light in the end of the tunnel, and we have to give a little bit of the light. That is, you know, what did people do during this lockdown? Many people were negative, and many people were positive too. I mean, I personally, it's been a great time for me because I did such a lot of things that I would never done anyway. So otherwise,
Yeah, but not everybody's in that position. Some people,
of
have
course.
difficulty accessing basic health care, and the pandemic just exacerbated that problem.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, but to continue on your point, Ella, of positivity, the kinship that trans gurus emanates is really inspirational. It's a model. And so I'd like to talk a little bit more of the videos that you have been sharing, because
Yeah.
you through your guru's event, you record them, you edit them, and then you upload them to your Facebook page and your YouTube channel. And the topics, I looked through them all. So you started about 8 months ago, and 5 months ago you posted your first video, and it was on courage and regret, which was probably very timely for that period of time. But why did you choose to do those two video topics at that period in time, courage and regret?
When you are transgender, coming out is an act of courage. And with every act of courage, there is sometimes regret, and mainly, or what, or no regret. I have to say that. I think it is very important that every single transgender person which goes through this phase and proves the courage that they have, that they know what is going on. And you've got 5 different ideas from 5 different people about their experience in changing. And, it's the regret of leaving something into going to something, but, it's not always a regret. It's actually a welcoming phase. But it takes courage to do what we did. I think that you have to tell every single transgender person which has fully transitioned that they are very courageous people. Never forget
Can I
that.
add something?
Yeah.
Please, you do.
We found, just from us getting together, that most people, after they transition, their life is more successful than pre-transition. Whether that's they were in business, they were in sales with their job or whatever. And where the regret kind of comes in is some people, when they first transition, their world falls apart and they have regret. But once their life starts to jive or work or mesh, and they start living more of their authentic self, that regret just disappears. And we have found that a great majority, I've seen people that drank, they were alcoholics, they transitioned and they don't drink. Alcohol doesn't mean anything anymore. I've seen people that, because a lot of times people are trying to sedate themselves so they don't have to deal with the pain and all the emotions and all the things inside of them, that when you clear the table, and it takes courage, but once you do it, most people are so much better off. Some people do it earlier in life, some people do it later in life. Times have changed. When I transitioned, just not to get off subject, but when I was like 6.5 years old, they sent my mother to a psychiatrist and was blaming her that she was raising me as a girl. I wasn't aware of that. I found out about it years later. but probably to the age of 12. I cooked in the kitchen with my mother. I did the dishes. I washed windows. I mean, I helped her iron. I mean, it was like, that was just my way of life. I mean, and there was another girl. I remember times the mothers, our family's Italian. We'd get together and make ravioli and make this and make that, everything from scratch. We'd go out in my father and my uncle and all them would go pick a bunch of tomatoes and we'd can our own tomatoes. I'm just saying that I never even thought about. That was just life. And then when testosterone kicked in and I got tired of being beat up, then life changed for me, and my mother and my relationship changed as well. But I found out years later that they had to send my mother to a shrink, and I wish that she was alive today, that she could be vindicated that there was nothing wrong with her. She did nothing wrong, and all the guilt that she had to carry with her all those years, it wasn't anything she did. It's just the way I was. I mean, and so with all that being said, some people transition later, some people transition earlier. But the key that Trans Gurus is trying to say is every part of your journey helps you to become the person that you are today. And there should be no regret that you didn't transition sooner, or that you transitioning now and giving up a lot. It's all got to do with the blend of the journey that makes us who we are, that enables us to become who we are. And that's why those two particular subjects, because that's what a lot of people regret because they didn't do it sooner, regret, whatever, and on and on and on. And then the courage, you'd be amazed. In today's times, it's a lot different than in my time. But
oh yeah,
that's why Raji and myself were the two that transitioned back in the late 70s. But and we have the stories to go along with that. Whereas other people like Ella, that 6 years ago before she really, I think, transitioned. But along that journey, we all can share from people that did it. Well, Christian did it at a younger age. Nevaeh did it at a young, I think she was 15 or 20. But, like I said, she didn't have to go through a lot of the things that we've had to go through, as well as Lauren. She's young and beautiful. So with all those things being said, the community that we're around, we hear out of everybody the two things, the courage and the regret. So that's why we went with it.
And if I may, I just add something very small. One of the good things about Trans Gurus is that we've got actually two pioneers, people which actually transitioned, in the last, 70s and 80s. So, the experience is not only for the last year, it's a very long experience.
Absolutely. What I'd like to add on the topic of courage, because I've read and I've heard over the course of my career working in the trans community, is that so many people say to me, I don't consider myself to be brave. Now I hear a lot of people say, oh, you're so brave. And I hear a lot of our patients say, no, I'm not brave. Is something I had to do because it was either be who I am or leave planet Earth. And I think that really hit home for me the first time I heard it. And I think it's a good way of showing people who don't understand, they're bringing up these silly topics of, women's spaces and bathrooms and all this kind of thing. It's silly because this isn't something that people do on a whim, like you're talking about, the courage to take that step, or for your parents to help you if you're a child who needs to affirm their gender identity, helping their child to take that step. It's not really easy. It's not easy at all. It's not on a whim. So it's incredibly difficult, and it takes a long amount of time. It requires all kinds of doctors and specialists to involve and a lot of, like you mentioned, Bonnie, I didn't know that about you, the transitioning, detransitioning, and transitioning again, the self-searching. It's quite a process that nobody, I think, would do just for the fun of it. It's something that you innately have to do.
The
To
one
be
thing that
yourself.
I want to just say it in our videos, you will find that one of the subjects we bring up more than anything is time. Things don't happen overnight. You have to have patience, and you have to put the time and effort in to achieve the things that you want. Like Shannon, she likes to work out. She has the muscles and the physique that she has because of the ungodly amount of hours she puts into it. Somebody can't just sit there and say, oh, I'm a man or I'm a woman, and theoretically not put any time or effort. I mean, if you got a beard on your face and you got hair in your chest that's 2 inches long and say, I want people to call me a woman, I'm sorry, that doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
If you want to go out there and do something about the hair and do something about the face, and if there's a little bit of a shadow and there's something, and you don't pass perfectly, but you're putting the time and effort in and you're working towards it. But if you're sitting there with a beard and you're sitting there with hair in your chest and you're not putting out any effort, well, then you're not putting in any time and you want a reward. It's like somebody wanting not to have to go to work, but they want to get paid the highest amount of money anybody in the company does, but they don't want to have to go to work. What people need to understand is if you start working, and we've talked about many people, some people might go on hormones for 1, 2 years, even 3 years before they actually transition. And what I'm saying is you can gradually move into it. Then, we know other people that just jump into it 2000%, just like I did. And I didn't pass. It took me a few years of hard work and 1,000 hours of electrolysis and on and on and on. But and what I'm saying is that time and patience, and it's like anything in life, it doesn't happen overnight. And what effort you put into it will reap the rewards of your efforts. And if you weren't willing to put out effort, well, then I don't know you deserve the prize. I don't know. That's not negative, but.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
and I just shared a link in the comments below. It's a video by Trans Gurus that you published 2 months ago called The Deciding Moment. And I think it's really related to what we're talking about right now. And we're talking about courage and taking a step forward and being patient and taking your time and doing all of the hard work that is involved in affirming your gender identity. And I think this video really illustrates this topic well. So people, anybody listening now, or if you're listening to this video in its recorded version, the link is below in the chat to the Trans Gurus YouTube page, The Deciding Moment. Now, once the pandemic,
our deciding moment in that video where all 5 of us, where we hit that critical wall, where we had to do something, we could no longer stay where we're at. So you're going to hear 5 different stories about 5 different people that hit that wall and what we did to get over it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that's why I wanted to share that video, because I think it's very important for people to view. And now, after the pandemic came, Trans Gurus didn't stop. You immediately, dove right in meetings on Zoom. It didn't stop you from continuing to creating this really interesting content, which I think is fantastic. So, but your topics changed a little bit to adapt to the global situation. And I thought that was ingenious. Your videos were now about positive thinking, aura, coping mechanisms, the power of belief. I'm sure that so many people will benefit from those videos still as the COVID situation continues around the world. So thank you for those. Now,
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think I have to tell quite honestly, one of the people behind this positive movement was Jimmy. But we all are very positive people, and we try to think in a positive way. We are very much a believer on positivity, and I think that is something that we always had since the beginning. Because even if we talk about our very specific transgender things, it's about positivity. If you look at our Facebook page as well, we have a lot of posts. We are really heavy posters, and it's always about transguru themes, so transgender themes or positivity themes, because we really want to spread the positivity of to everybody, because it's so important. And let's put it, we're not really, I mean, we don't have a religion, so to speak. Everybody's got mystical or other types of of religions, but we all have some kind of positive thinking and positive course, and this is very important.
absolutely. It's your faith, it's not necessarily a set religion, but it's important to have that faith in
Absolutely.
So, as we're rounding out to close the hour now, Bonnie D and Ella, thank you so much for all of your input, the work you're doing with Trans Gurus. It's so inspirational. I'd like for now for both of you, if possible, to share a takeaway message, a key point that you would like for our viewers who are here now, and for any viewers who come back and see this video in its recorded version. What message do you want them to take with them?
Look, my message for me, in the name, of course, Trans Gurus, is be positive. There is always an end at the light, at the end of the light in the end of the tunnel. We are transgender people, are good people. We are from all over, very diverse, but we've got one thing in common, and this thing which we have in common means that our bodies did not match what we had in our heads, and we had to do something about it. And this process is a very complex and difficult process, and we will be very glad to help you in this process. I think that is what we have to tell, and that's my message. We're here to help.
Thank you. And
my message is one of putting things in perspective, and that is, I thank God every day that I was born transgender, because it's opened my eyes, it's enlightened me, it's enabled me to experience things. And I would have just been a closed-minded redneck if it wasn't for the transgender. And that would be okay, because a lot of people are closed-minded rednecks and they have a beautiful life and they love their life. But being I've been exposed to more, I am thankful, because my accomplishments are probably bigger because I had to see, not to get involved. When I transitioned, I couldn't get a job. You got to remember, back in late 70s, early 80s, who's going to hire a transgender person? Anyway, so I had to start my own business. And because I had to start my own business to survive, and I paid for my own surgery, my own electrolysis, my own everything, I was a workaholic, and I did things that I loved, and I loved it, and I did it. And I didn't do sex work. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but what I'm saying is I managed to survive and be resourceful. And if it wasn't for the transgenderness, I would have just fallen into a rut, and my life would have just been a routine life. But because of the transgender, and this is where I keep talking about perspective, is that if you have the perspective that what's happened to you in life, if you can find the positive way of looking at it, and you can take the same situation and have two totally different ways of looking at it. I choose to see my life as a blessing as opposed to a curse. Are there times in my life where I'd say, man, this shit, excuse my languages, it's a curse? But I got through those times, and when you put your time in and your authentic self, you're able to be who you really are and get rid of all the baggage and the noise and everything society puts on you. Then you can truly embrace who you are, and from that standpoint, embracing who I am, I'm thankful for who I am. And other people that are dealing with the transgender, you're going to have rough times. But let me tell you something. If you're a cis person, you're going to have problems. How many cis people get married and divorced? How many cis people do this? I mean, what I'm trying to say is life is built on different obstacles, and you can see an obstacle as something holding you back, or you can see an obstacle as a challenge for something to overcome. And it's more powerful and empowering to see an obstacle as I get to overcome this and work out how am I going to do it, and go at it with an attitude of feeling, I know this is rough and this is hard, but I can do it. That's who I am. And you can take that same power and enthusiasm and let it empower you, or you can take it and let it rob you from everything. So, I guess that kind of wraps it up. I got on a roll there. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, that's fine. I think you summed it up perfectly, Bonnie. I don't think that you could have said it any other way. You are both a blessing to planet Earth, and I commend both of you for what you do, and I wouldn't change anything in the world, anything of you in this world. So yeah, that's the message I have for everybody in the trans community, that we love you and we see you and we hear you, and we are here to help you in any way possible as trans allies the best we can. And in order to do that,
thank you for what you're doing. That means a lot. I mean, some people you don't see that, but when somebody reaches out and tries to help, I mean, you got to respect that. And thank you from the bottom of our hearts, from everybody from Trans Gurus.
thank you.
I'd like to say something as well. Thank you very much for the doctors that you guys have as well, because you guys do a tremendous job. For a transgender person to have surgery is something kind of life-saving, because we see ourselves, and sometimes what we see is not exactly what it's supposed to be. I know that everybody has got that, but transgenders, it's more acute. And the doctors which are behind that and help us to do that little bit more, it's life-saving sometimes. It really is.
Absolutely. A lot of trans women are benefiting from it, and it's helping. So it's all just one piece of the puzzle. So thank you so much, Bonnie D. Thank you so much, Ella. It's been a fantastic conversation with you. I'm really glad that we had this talk here, and I hope that some of our viewers here today and later that come back find little doses of truth and knowledge that will help them. So here's a little applause. Here's applause for you. Please, if you're watching this video now, please put a little clap in the comments.
We hear you.
Encourage us to do more. Let us know who else you want to hear from. Let us know if you like this webinar, and yeah, just keep communicating with us. So we want to know what you think. Most importantly, if you're an ally or a healthcare professional working in the LGBTQ+ community, show your support, cover these themes, follow the trans groups like Trans Gurus, and send your messages to legislatures, MPs, tweet the powers that be, do whatever you can to help support the fight for human rights and healthcare access for the trans community. They need you, we need you, and things like healthcare access and peeing are respected. It's just peeing. So closing on that note, please stay tuned for my weekly Wednesdays. The next week I'll be speaking with Marcos Torres of La Villa Marbella, which is the recommended accommodations for our patients at Facial Team. And it's going to be very interesting as well. I'm sure this month I will have complete weekly Wednesdays, but in August there will be a little bit of delay. So if you want to keep up to date with who I'm going to be talking with, just visit our blog and we have our schedule there, or you can sign up for our newsletter where we are keeping people up to date, as well as joining our Facebook group. It's called the Facial Team Peer Group on Facebook, and we are also keeping people up to date there. So we're looking forward to meeting you and seeing you in the coming weeks at our upcoming live streams. So thank you, Ella. Thank you, Bonnie D of Trans Gurus. Please do follow their YouTube channels in the comments, their Facebook pages in the comments, and everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and we see you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Your healthcare matters.
Thank you.
Stay here, okay? Don't leave. Don't leave. Stay here. Bye-bye.